Hey everyone, welcome to the fourth and final episode of FE4 Tier List review. I'm going over the FE4 section of the big tier list that I've made, and helping me out with that is my guest, Valk. We started out from the top and went down, and now we're at the start of B- tier, having moved various units up and down along the way. Enjoy! And now, Lana. I guess this is where we have to start talking about staff utility. I'm assuming there are similarities with Gen 1, where it's like, okay, you can be at a castle, use warp, that's kind of nice, but you don't really get to do anything on the field because the Mao 5 move and no combat. So what purpose is there really for you? So I'm assuming what's going to happen here is it's going to apply to Lana, Julia, her sub, I don't remember what her localized name is, and maybe some other units that can like promote
Muirne.
Muirne? Okay.
Yeah.
And then they can just kind of do that, but it's kind of utility that doesn't require stats of any kind. It just requires you to exist and have a staff rank, and that's about it. So I'm curious how much we credit it for, how much we deduct from other units being able to do the same thing, and how useful it is in purpose. Because I know for Lana specifically, actually there's like more going on. You can have like Claude as a dad and have like a rescue staff, fortify staff, so that's like different. This is like more specific on like warp utility, I guess, maybe some healing. But I know Lana specifically can do a bit more than that, and I know you did Claude Ideen, right, in your ranked run?
Yes. So Lana depends on Claude Dad versus Zell Dad, where you're gonna put her. The Claude Dad's obviously pretty crazy because you get the rescue staff already. It doesn't help you save any turns in Chapter 6 because Seliph is already positioned in a pretty good spot, but it does help you get characters to be more relevant in Chapter 6. You can like rescue them a bit closer and have them kill a few more enemies that you wouldn't have. It helps with recruiting one of the X-Bros if you plan on doing that. So it's nice to have. She has Fortify as well, which is just insane at the start of the game. You just don't ever have to worry about healing anybody. They can tank whatever they want so long as it doesn't kill them, and then you just full healed in the next turn.
Yeah, and you get 85 XP for it.
Yeah, you get XP. She's going to promote by Chapter 7. It's crazy. Of course, we talked about how you can have Lana rescue your Trob in Chapter 7, or even leave, or maybe even Finn if you want to do that way. So you can just break that whole scenario if you want to. There's a neat little trick that you can do when you recruit, your Dancer, where you want to try to get your Dancer relevant as soon as possible. So what you can do is you can rescue the Dancer as soon as they're recruited, and then you'll have like Julia, who probably has the warp staff on her, and then you warp her back to the you have your Troubadour use the return staff to get her back to the home castle, and then you have Julia warp her or something like that. It's one of those scenarios. Either way, normally you can't get her useful immediately. Rescue staff lets you.
It's like 3C up in here.
Yeah. Seliph, has to run down from the Yeet castle. Rescue staff makes that useful, so you can just come down fast. Also, once you've seized Melgan, he has to run all the way back up to seize the Darna. Rescue staff gets him back up. A lot of units are going to be taking damage in this area, so Fortify keeps them all topped off. You don't even really need a second healer if you need that. After that, she just kind of falls off.
Healer falls off.
You're going to have... she'll stay in the castle and warp people, maybe. You can have her with status stabs because she probably inherited those, which can shut down a enemy. Hannibal is a very useful unit to put to sleep, for example, if you want to recruit him. Otherwise, there isn't much to talk about her after that. The final map has a lot of really annoying dudes all over the place, and she can just delete one of them via silence or something like that. So very solid unit. Early game, really solid. Late game is going to be kind of what the other staff units are doing. You generally don't put the rescue staff on her past Chapter 7 because you want it on the leaf. Even if you were going to do something weird, like for example have Sad or Teeny use it, they have 6 move, which is more relevant than 5. So it's not super great to have it on her past that point.
Okay, still sounds pretty good too. If you're okay with assuming Claude Lana.
Okay. If you don't have Claude Lana, she has a physics staff, can heal up for dudes. Maybe use the warp staff a couple times. All the status staff utility still there. But The thing that's going to get her into like A tier is if you allow for Cloud Lana.
Wait, it's A tier. I was expecting her to go like B plus. I guess I don't know how much weight to let the Claude Lana, because I think you said it costs reliability, but you gain a turn or something.
Okay.
With Asaello.
Okay, so it saves 2 turns over Asaello at an optimal pace. However, with things like you don't have access to Force Eddy, which you probably should just spend a turn to get that anyways. And then Leaf is probably not going to promote at an optimal pace. He's probably going to take a few extra turns. You're going to end up losing the turns in the long run. But it's roughly on par, I would say.
But overall, probably A, maybe B plus.
I don't remember where I normally put her. I think I put her above the Flyers. She's definitely worse than Oife and the Trobs. So wherever you want up around there, I guess.
All right, we'll roll with that. That was higher than expected for a 5-move unit, but here we go.
Yeah, I mean,
unique utility
so
helps,
good
I
early
guess.
on. Yeah. We're still talking about good units right now.
Yeah. So we are. So I forgot how to pronounce her name already. Muirne? Muirne?
Oh, we want to talk about her? Oh, she's entirely different.
Yeah, okay. We can leave her to later if you think she's that different, though. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just night and day.
Night and day? Alright. We'll leave the night for
She's
later.
terrible.
Inheritance does really suck for staff users. Okay. Fair. So want to go through these first then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you can start.
Yeah, so Set is like, first of all, he doesn't have as much availability, but when he's there, he is about as good as a foot unit can be at combat, which I guess we kind of covered with Shannon, not very often, but then he also has staves and the possibility of Force Eddy, which are all things that we highlighted can be potentially or guaranteed useful in some ways. So you can do a lot of things as long as there's space for that kind of thing, and he can keep up, or it's happens somewhere near a castle where he can be warped to, or the home castle or something. So I feel like it's gonna have some relevance, but I don't know. The cut in availability and the lack of mounted movement makes it really hard for me to judge if he should move up or down. I remember I always have trouble tiering units that both have big drawbacks, like low availability and big pros. Like just his combat is really good regardless of pairing, and the general class is obviously really good. So. I don't know. I've said almost everything I would initially say about Set in the previous video, so I won't harp on too much. But Force Eddy good, combat good, stabs good, but availability kind of bad.
Yeah. So Force Eddy Set is like a huge boost at the Arvis encounter. I ran the numbers a long time ago to like check how everybody did, and he was doing almost 3 times the reliability for the optimal clear. He was like, most people get around 9%. And then he's like running at like 30. And then for like, if we're taking an extra turn, he's at like 99% chance of killing him by that point. So he just absolutely is great at that encounter. I've seen people say that Force Eddy is not good against Arvis. And I think those people use Arthur with Force Eddy. You need to use Sed with Force Eddy. That's what makes it really good. The thresholds at Arvis, because we're going to have Ares also be beating on Arvis. Ares does 19 damage because Kaga hates us and wouldn't let him do 20. So the best like magic threshold that you can have, like attack, is 63, because that's enough that if Ares was to swing and hit 3 times, he would kill in only 1 hit, and then he'll make up for any of Ares' hits if he misses any more. Also, he can just 1-round KO him naturally if he just gets all that. After that, you're like looking at 61. And both the 63 is the only magic threshold that Sed can hit because Sage has such a huge magic base. Coirpre can only get up to 62 capped.
And with a magic ring, right?
Yeah, they have to have a magic ring.
Yeah.
And Arthur only gets to 60, and that's assuming they've capped. Sed doesn't even cap it getting at 63. He caps at 65, so... he also has a high res stat. He's guaranteed to survive the Arvis encounter. He'll never die to 1 hit from Arvis, so that's good. He's got a physics staff. At Chalfie, some of your units going to take damage, so he's going to heal them. Yeah, just a super good unit and probably the hardest castle in the game. After that, he does still have a really high magic stat, so he can be useful if you're doing the Hell Cheese at Julius, which I do recommend that you do, even though it's not a super high hit rate. You just compare just reloading for that versus walking Seliph all the way to recruit Julia. You'll reset into getting it to work before you were to trek Julia all the way over to kill Julius.
Yeah, and just to explain what Hell Cheese is, I'm assuming what it means is you berserk the Druid or the Dark Lord that has Hell into attacking Julius to get into 1 HP, and then you kill him with something else.
Yeah. Yeah, just anything does it because you always take 1 damage. One thing that is kind of noteworthy about the Hell Cheese strategy is there is that Fortify lady. You want to make sure that you silence her, which that can also do. So it's got enough magic for that. You could also silence Ishtar if you wanted to get rid of her, which is also just funny. You need a magic ring for that, but hey. So yeah, he's very good in those last 2 maps as far as the weird things that you need a unit to do. I give him a lot of credit for the Arvis fight, just because of how much easier he makes that fight. So yeah, I put him at either top of B+ or bottom of A is where I think he's good at.
I'll jam him up top of B+, just based on gut feeling, but it sounds about right. I think it's not too hard to think of things that he can do outside of like those specific things. Obviously, as long as he is the space to be there, you know, as long as he can make it somewhere. Because if you have Force It, he could just delete anything you want to, obviously, but he can't always be in place for it. But apparently, even when you go at like breakneck pace, he can do those things, which is really cool.
Oh yeah. So the thing is after chapter 8ish, you don't really need Cavs aren't really that much better than foot units because they're just going to fall behind anyways. Outside of a few situations.
Oh yeah, true.
So usually what you're doing is you're doing like the strategy where you try to move Seliph off the fortress, and then you're going to warp Sad or somebody over to maybe make a bit of headway for Seliph before Seliph charges ahead of everybody again. So yeah, he's going to be about as relevant as any Cav would be at that point in the game.
That's cool. All right, so that means I get the Argus Shadon up again. Okay, cool.
I mean, yeah, the Shadon would be better if he could survive the mage encounters.
That's true. That is definitely like the enemy types really help set there, I guess.
Yeah, it's so annoying that he just dies in 1 hit to both Bloom and Arvis even after leveling.
Yeah, Ishtar too, right? So
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Ishtar you could kill with a Brave Sword before she attacks.
Oh yeah, true. Imagine having the Balmung but having to buy the Brave Sword anyway. Just do it. Sad. Okay, so that's said. Is this also where we should discuss Hawk? Yeah.
Yeah,
he's like
Hawk
very similar, I think.
Hawk is pretty cool because he's got that super high 22 magic base, and then he's got a conversation, you get him +3 magic in res. So he just has ridiculous magic. It's good enough to contribute at the Arvis fight and 0% if you want him to do that. He doesn't have Force City, but he does have Lightning. Lightning has advantage, so it's actually the highest accuracy tome that is in the game versus Arvis. It doesn't do like nearly as much damage, but it still does relevant damage. So I like him. He's obviously not as good as Set is, but I still think around B+ is a good spot for him. You might argue him under Finn. I don't know.
All right.
He's got all the same utility. One thing I didn't mention about Set is you can also give him Claude as a dad. And he's got the Valkyrie staff and Fortify and Rescue if you want to do that.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't add as much as Forcetti, but it's good to note as an option, yeah.
That does make him objectively better than Hawk, because he has the same magic at that point.
Yeah, so what to say, Hawk is very similar to Claude. Claude said, I feel like in utility, because he's more staff-based in that way.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, that's those two. Yeah, I know one particular patron who really likes Hawk, so I'm glad to see him move up. Just for their sake.
He's really nice. Whenever I run the simulations against Arvis, it was funny because while Hawk didn't do as good as some units did when you're trying to go for purely optimal, when you decided to relax your conditions and try to go for like 2 turns, he always just beat everybody except Sed. So it's always fun to see that.
Yeah, I do love that some people run those, like try to see if they cannot just clear the chapter within X turns, but also reliably do so. Like I know for Conquest 0%, or Conquest negative, I think Karma went out of her way to like not just she would find a clear, and then she'd like try to optimize it to be as reliable as humanly possible, even if she already got the clear. And instead of resetting for it, you just try and find like the biggest, best possible ways of moving to make it more reliable. That thing, guys, I think is really interesting. So it's cool to see Claude can kind of show up in that way too.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it for Claude? Or Claude? I mean, basically, it's also it for Claude because this is his kid sometimes. But yeah, is that for Sin
that's
and
all I can really say because they join a bit late. You don't have that early game.
Yeah.
But
so I guess it's time for Thievery and Patty and maybe Daisy. And I mean, we talked a lot about money management in general, why it's good in Gen 1 for just, I think you said like it's good to make bad units good, or at least make funny units a little bit more viable, because suddenly you have cash, you can now buy Paragon and promote almost instantly or like faster than anyone else. And I don't know if the same applies to Gen 2. I know that there's a lot of people in Gen 2 that can use money to become good, even some units that kind of require it, like the Dancers and Leaf. And the only reason Cell doesn't need it is because he has a rich dad, but I'm sure in a lot of ways. Like if using a substitute, for example, I know that a thief is really, really useful because the substitutes don't inherit, like they can't inherit a bunch of expensive items. So they really appreciate having a bunch of money dumped onto them. But honestly, anyone early on is kind of lacking for gold, because inheriting gold is like, you get like a 20th of like a 10th of what your parents had. So you have almost nothing to start out with, even if your parent had like a lot of gold. So unless you're inheriting expensive items, you're gonna want some more money to get the Paragon ring. So I guess the same kind of utility applies. And then Patty herself also inherits stuff that you can either sell off and then give to someone else, or use to get herself ahead in the arena. You get the Sleep Sword to cheese the arena if you want to go that way, or you could do like Hole in Patty, use a Brave Sword. So in a way, I think Patty just has more options to be instantly good compared to Do. So I guess it also goes to her credit. Daisy a little bit less so, but she has Miracle still, so there's still like cheesy ways available. So generally, like an easier to use Do that has about as much utility. So I think they might move up. Question mark?
So the two money drops in the game are on Leaf and the Dancer, and those are the only two money drops that she does that I think are relevant at all. The issue is that there just isn't a reason to use a lot of units, so Daisy doesn't have much to do. So a lot of the money that you're dropping on people is purely for the memery. You know, making some funny units do funny things.
Is that different from Gen 1? In that way?
Well, Gen 1, you can make units competent. They're like actually good, like Nisha and whatnot. Whereas in Gen 2, we can give all of our rings to Amid and then have him like punch Arvis if we wanted to. But I don't really think the money is as useful in Gen 2. It's definitely not as game changing as it is in Gen 1. If you weren't to money drop Leaf and Lelia, you wouldn't be that much worse off. The Night Ring is good on the Dancer most of the time, but you can play around not having that Night Ring quite easily if you wanted to. Versus just being able to, like for Do, turn a unit that, like Lachesis or something like that, into suddenly now is a Master Knight earlier than you'd ever thought. Or Edane having enough money to afford all the sabs that she needs for Gen 2. Yeah, one of the things about Do, it's hard to credit him for this, but a lot of the reason you don't have money problems in Gen 1 is because most of that money trickles down into Gen 2.
It's all generational wealth.
Like, we could start Patty off with a really high amount of money because we're just going to dump all of our money from Do onto Bridget and her husband. So, yeah, it's Do is making honest contributions even after he dies. So
that is so on theme with FE4. That's so funny. Okay, where does
But
that
yeah,
leave Patty though? Because obviously I can't really credit Patty for something Do does, right? So
But yeah, so like obviously passing gold is still like kind of useful. She's a bit more competent as a combat unit. So I've been talking about there's like another LTC that's done that wasn't ranked. It was like actually going for true low turns. It was by Faint Loft, I believe. They had Patty because they gave her Badir as a dad since it's the only viable dad. they had her solo the Dozel Knights by just having her proc charge over and over again.
Oh god.
And I thought that was hysterical. Yeah, so she's like a bit more competent as a combat unit. I remember running the numbers, and compared to Dermot, they are statistically comparable, and that's kind of sad more for Dermot. But when it when it comes to like 1v1 combat, not like Dermot's obviously doing more damage, he's just not doing relevantly more damage.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think around where Dermot is fine. Maybe a bit higher than him. She's definitely below Shannon, for sure.
Fair. That's really funny that she's okay. Yeah, sure. she's next to Shannon, but not really. Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, that's where she wants to be.
Uh-huh.
But and then for Daisy, Daisy has bad strength, so she doesn't have any combat contributions. Weirdly enough, where she starts, she gets punched by a dude up there. She gets dropped in a miracle range and won't get hit by anything else, which is kind of cool.
You mean like the sword fight? It's the sword fighter guys?
Yeah, they drop her to like miracle range.
Oh, that's funny.
That's like the only thing that she has. She doesn't start off with a money pool, and she has problems getting money, so she's, doesn't have great utility. A lot of people like to say Daisy's better because usually if you're running Daisy, you're running all subs, which fair. But
oh yeah,
if you actually consider Daisy as like a unit that you have a choice to get, you're probably gonna like still have money on everybody that needs it.
Yeah, I think the all context, the all sub context is valid. It's not the context I'm using, but I think I might have said it before. I don't know if it was within the tier list or not. But it's definitely fair to say that if you're using all subs, then Daisy's probably better than if you're using Patty with all pairings. I think that's fair, but that's not the context I'm using here.
So where she's at's fine, probably.
Okay.
To be honest.
I think so.
You could maybe argue over Tristan.
Yeah. I'm not about splitting hairs in a 2-hour series, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Seems fine to me. Okay, so that puts the thieves 1 tier down, but I think we were still doing B- people and we're at
that's right.
The bow knights, the
oh god,
what's his face? I forgot his name. Help, Lester. There we go.
Lester. There we go.
Lester and
Lester the
Dimna.
Bester.
Yes, Lester the Bester. I shout out to Modern Mind. He really likes Lester, and I was like, before I started recording, I was like, Modern, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go record now. Valk is gonna tell me to move him down like 3 tiers. Wish me luck. I think it's funny because like Lester is basically, especially if you do the Madir pairing for Ideen, Lester is basically Madir but better in like every way stat wise, because that's just the way that inheritance works. But in the context of Gen 2, obviously with all we discussed, it's easy to see why Lester is worse off, because he just doesn't have as much chip contributions where he needs to do anything, whereas because Seliph and the rescue breaking makes him more independent of other combat units. And then Lester especially is just, he can't even enemy phase most of the time, unless it's like a bow army. So there's even less for him to do. Lester, yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to stay here. I do remember, I think this is definitely a part where, this is definitely one thing you've commented on before, where it's like, yeah, Lester's too high, he needs to move down on my videos. But I don't remember if I did that, or if he still needs to move down.
Yeah, Lester sucks. There isn't really a way around it. The best thing you can do with him is obviously give him the Madir pairing, pass down the killer vote to him, and then he can do combat that isn't relevant. Also, he gets the Brave Bow, that's right. So you can kind of have him Brave Bow Dark Mages, which doesn't help.
I think mine got OCO by Dark Mages because I didn't train him in Chapter 6.
Oh, that's sad.
It's Chapter 6 though, like because I didn't give him any levels. If you're actually using him, you probably get some HP procs.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that pure base he got one shot. Oh, that's bad.
I don't know if Dimna can survive though, to be fair.
Dimna is just terrible. So if you don't pass down a bow because you didn't do a dad that passes down a bow, which is Midir, Yamke, and Arden, then he's stuck with an iron bow.
Yes, your favorite weapon.
Yeah, the iron bow is terrible. Also, if you don't specifically leave Bridget's steel bow that she starts with unpassed down. He has the iron bow all the way through chapter 7 as well, because you do not get better bows until chapter 8 at that point.
Ugh.
And then you just have a steel bow, which isn't that much better than iron. So, you definitely, if you want to get the most out of him, you definitely have to give him a bow dad. The problem is he's also competing with Lana, who just has 2 way better dads. And I know a lot of people say, oh, but I want to make both of them competent. No.
Yeah.
You could do that if you want to have fun. But if you really want to have the easiest time through this game, leave him in a ditch. That's where he belongs.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is that I did find out that one of the turn saves that the playthrough that I based my, there was a written up documentation for that I used as a basis for my run. I saved a turn off that documentation by using Lester.
Oh, shit. S tier.
Which, yeah. So at the Deadlords, Lester with Claude as a dad has enough resistance that he actually doesn't die while fighting enemies on the side of the cliff. And he also doesn't have enough strength to kill the Hell Mage. So he is actually good there from a pure LTC context and nothing else.
Valkyrie staff Lester is meta.
Yeah. Trying to train him up, though, is terrible, and you should never do it. I hate Lester.
No pursuit iron bow gaming?
He does 5 damage to enemies. It's so sad. But yeah, after chapter 7, I guess at chapter 7 you could argue he can weaken dark mages for Leaf to kill. That's the only relevant unit I can think of that wants to feed off them. After that, I can't really think of anything he does.
Mm-hmm.
You can maybe have him rescue a village if you want. That's about it.
Yeah, I think part of what makes most people like Lester is they just use Lana like they use Aideen. So just use stabs whenever we can with her 5-move Lamau. But when you actually have to make your pairing towards Lana, it really hurts Lester a lot. And then he just kind of sucks. But even if you do the Medir thing, obviously he's hurt by the Gen 2 mechanics. So... Yeah,
it's just there isn't... You want 1 to 2 range in this game, and he doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm. Did you suggest where to move him? I'm assuming it's down.
I throw him in D tier usually.
D tier? Alright.
Yeah, and Dimna. So Dimna has that village that gives him +5 strength. Yeah. He still just has an iron bow.
Yeah, he still keeps all the other problems, yeah.
He keeps all the other problems.
Yeah.
So.
I know people like Dimna for that conversation, but it feels like people saying, I like this unit because they have heartbone bonuses kind of thing, where, everything else is still there about the unit, and the bonus they get is just a small part, not the whole picture. Mm-hmm. And then, Lester +5 strength would still be Lester with all the same problems, and the same really goes for Dimna.
Yeah. It's even worse because, Lester can inherit bows. Dimna will never.
Yeah. That and, the strength is nice, but just straight up offense is never the issue with Lester. It's not that hard to get Lester to 1-round stuff. Just give him a brave bow and be faster than the enemy and they're dead. Dimna, he does he have, I think he has just as pursuit, so he doesn't even have the cost backup, right? So
yeah, he doesn't have that.
So
he doesn't 1-round, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's probably enemies he can 1-round at some point. I'm sure he's 1-rounds wyverns, but it's worse.
After chapter 8,
yeah,
you get both the brave bow and the killer bow. Killer bow's at the end of chapter 8. You get both of those bows,
yeah,
and then he can be competent again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's too late at that point.
Finally, after 8,000 years. Chapter 8 is also when everything just starts going even faster than before in efficient settings. So yeah.
The killer bow doesn't even do anything in the wyvern map because an iron bow one-shots those wyverns.
Yeah.
So it's
you can't crit twice in this game, not in one hit. So you don't even get funny overkill off of it, unfortunately. Still a really accurate bow, but you already have the brave bow. I feel like it doesn't add anything.
Yeah. The killer bow is actually good in the Deadlord encounter because that Draco, I think, is the name of the
Figures it's a Draco.
Yeah, it's Draco's his name. It's the Yamka clone.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, because the brave bow weighs you down too much that you get doubled by him, and you don't want that to happen.
Oh yeah, don't get 1-rounded by Jamka. We already made that mistake in Gen 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute trivia. All right, that's the It's everything on the Bow Knight, I think. There's not a whole lot to him.
Yep.
Let's see. We did these. We did... wait. Oh, this...
We're
For a
on
second, I thought it
Julia
was
now.
Jan, but like, no. They both have the pink hairband and everything, but that was Daisy.
I've seen so many people mistake the two. It's funny to me.
Yeah, it's the first time it's happened to me, I think. But, you know, here you go. Julia. So, we did discuss Warp a little bit, so we just add that to her credits. I think Julia is, like, really nice for casual players because she's so easy to use. You just check if the enemy can kill her if she has Nosferatu equipped, and if they can't, then you just do the Awakening thing. You just end turn and Lamau. And then, you know... but in a more efficient setting, I think there's a lot of things that hurt her. 5 move is obviously worse. You're probably not getting Naga. Like you said earlier, you have a different strategy available to beat the final boss in the final castle. So Naga becomes less relevant. And then I wonder if Nosferatu's even... I think you got it, but I don't remember what the best path to getting it is in efficient setting, but we'll talk about that. And then, like, obviously combat on the 5 move unit just matters less. So she kind of just becomes a staff bot that eventually promotes and then exists and gets 6 move, I guess. But I can't really think of a whole lot of things that you can do in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if she moved down, but at the same time, the competition isn't exactly stiff. So maybe she'll move up based on staff utility. I don't know. Please, enlighten.
I did not get Nosferatu, no.
Oh, okay.
You have to go back for that.
Oh, so you just staff spammed her to 30. Okay.
Yeah, I just staff spammed her to 30. She used Sed's Lightning for the arena.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Julia's a weird unit because she depends on Lana existing to inherit stabs. If you did not have stabs inherited, the good stabs don't show up until chapter 9, which is the chapter before she leaves. So at that point, she does nothing for you. So we should assume that we have a Lana pairing.
Yeah,
just for her sake.
agree.
She's good for moving people around. And that's really about it. If you have Claude Lana, one of the problems is Lana's got Fortify, so you don't really need the extra physic user. But if you're running a Zell Lana, having 2 physic users can be... Well, actually, no, you only have 1 at that point. Yeah, never mind.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can have Mend, I guess, for backup healing. I don't know. Yeah. She's competing with Lana a lot of the time, I guess is what's really going on here.
It's like Lana enables her, but now it's also competition.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, you can. Yeah, because if you were to have Claude Lana, you'd be able to give her the physic staff, but then, well, you have Fortify, so you don't need Fizz. Oh, it's just so bad for her.
Yeah.
Nosferatu, I guess, is a way that you can handle Melgan if you go and get it.
Oh, yeah, to be out of blister range, yeah.
Yeah, I've never actually looked at how that does combatantly, but I would assume it works.
Yeah. The only thing I'd be afraid of is, like, you have, like, an Armor Knight or something that does, like, a bazillion damage to her. Leaves her at, like, let's say 2 HP. She Nosferatu's for a bunch of damage to heal back up. And then the next turn, she gets hit again, but this time the enemy doesn't have as much HP. She ends up too low in HP, but that'd be something you can probably simulate. And also, there was another thing. Oh, yeah, there's enemy priests that can heal. Actually, she might double these Armor Knights. Okay, maybe it's not an issue after all. I don't know.
Does she have Pursuit?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I've never used her in combat. So
I'm gonna double check it real quick, but I'm pretty sure she has Pursuit.
Okay.
She's just like really slow with Nosferatu, so sometimes she doesn't double. But I think these enemies. That's so funny.
This is not a question I've ever thought of had to ask.
Okay, so she has Pursuit, Adept, and Heal. Yeah.
Okay. I knew she had Nihil.
Yeah, and she has 11 base speed, so Nosferatu weighs 12, I think, so she's -1 attack speed.
Okay, those Armor Knights, I know some of them have bows, I think some of them have swords, which could be a problem.
Oh yeah, I think so too. It's not, like, overly relevant to her tiering, to be fair.
Yeah, it's not going to be overly relevant. The problem with her is she leaves in Chapter 9, and Chapter 10 in the final map are, like, the 2 big maps where you want to have staff users.
Yeah, I was going to say, it would be nice if she was in Chapter 10, wouldn't it?
Yeah. In Chapter 9, she's worthless, really, to be honest. You have so many staff users at that point to use the warp staff. There's no... She's just redundant. In Chapter 8, if you're doing some hit training for, like, Lester, because you have a Claude Lester and you want to see him go the distance, usually you want to send a healer out with him so he doesn't die. So then you need a one in the castle to warp, so there's kind of a part where she's not redundant. Um,
Lester just keeps
Yeah.
being MVP, man.
yeah. The issue is there's not a lot of units that you want to train, so I guess maybe a Mead, right? He might do something if you have him.
Yeah. He's definitely the first person I was thinking of when trying to think of what units in Gen 2 to train, for sure.
One thing you can do, if you don't have the rescue staff, you're going to go a bit slower through the Bloom Castle attack. So you could, like, warp a healer up there, I guess. So I don't think it'll be relevant. It might be relevant for Daisy recruiting Asaello. We're really grasping at straws here, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, she does, in most people's playthrough, kill Julius. I've already just kind of brought that up, but it takes so many turns to recruit her. And there's other ways to kill Julius by Seliph with the Tearfang can kill him before you would have you just loop around.
Because Julius just attacks Seliph at one range for some dumb reasons, so you get like a lot of damage on him that way. I think it's like 5 per turn.
And you can just like jump in, heal up, and then get out with like the rescue staff and whatnot. It's going to take you several turns. And then, of course, there's the Hell strategy. There's no reason to really use her against Julius in a efficiency run. It's mostly just if you care about the story beat for it, or you just you didn't plan well enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the backup plan.
Yeah, it's a backup plan that takes a couple extra turns. So it's like a similar kind of credit you'd give to Shannon, kind of like that, I guess. Except for one scenario, for one encounter. So
where she is fine. You could maybe argue D tier above Lester might be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's not super great. Mm-hmm. She does have uses.
Yeah, like it kind of comes down to me to like warp and then sharing that utility with a couple of other units. It's like, okay, whatever. I'll just leave her where she is for now. We'll see. No substitute here. So Altena, I think she's kind of bad. I don't even know why she's in C. I think I moved Altena around a little bit at some point. I don't remember exactly why. The Altena looks really good from like big number standpoint. I think it actually hurts her a little bit because some of the enemies just don't attack her. She just kind of sits there doing nothing, which is hilarious to me. We kind of went over why flying was bad, but now we put these two in A tier. So I'm kind of like trying to rethink that a little bit, but they're obviously part of the reason why she's so good is because she's in every chapter, whereas Altena is only in 10 when you think about it.
Yeah.
And in final, and in both those chapters, you actually have like a lot of enemies that just kill her or prevent her from going anywhere with the sleep staff. But
which Fee doesn't have that problem because Fee has res.
Yeah, exactly. I do think Altena's combat, like if you want her to kill something, she'll probably be able to do it because I think she has like Pursuit, Adept, and a Gaybolg as an option. Yeah. So if you want something dead, she can probably do it if she can get there. And she can help keep the turfing safe, I guess, is like the one thing that is kind of nice. But it's still a little bit of a stretch. And I generally don't think very highly of her in a tier list setting. But I do think once you have her and you're playing casually, she's fine. Like you can just, do combat stuff. But not much of a reason to do so in this context. So, I don't know. I probably
wouldn't.
She
will kill things at one range. She will probably get killed by archers. The saddest thing I remember about her is that, the Gaybolg gives her plus 10 defense, I think. You think that'd be really good, but it weighs her down enough that she gets doubled by archers.
Yeah.
So she actually gets one rounded with it. So you need to give her like a sword or something for enemy phase. The thing that she does that I noted that was very useful in my ranked run. Most efficiency runs just skip her, so they don't really explore her all that much.
Oh yeah, I'm not discrediting her for costing turns to recruit, by the way.
But because I actually did use her, the Dozo Castle, I brought it up several times. She is bulky enough that she can tank every single one of those guys, and she one-rounds them with the Gaybolg.
Gaming.
And she does it at 100 accuracy, because it also gives you skill. So...
Yeah.
That is a really good place for her. It is the only place I can think of that she does anything useful. You can kind of, with the Deadlords, if you're trying to fight them, like bait them off the cliff and to like make room for Seliph, you can like have her fly in and just like peck them and then canto back. So that's like another thing that she's good at. Terrible against Arvis. I think she gets one shot.
Likely. Takes 70 attacks to survive, right?
Yeah, I know she's got a really high HP step, but she's got no res. Maybe if you use that Charlotte conversation, I know she gets like 3 res from that.
Yeah, her base is like 53, so it takes like 53 total magical bulk, so it would take a lot. Like if she levels up 13 times, she'd be 64. So if she gets like the barrier ring, it's barrier ring plus like a couple of res procs or that Charlotte convo, she could probably get there.
Okay. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, she's a unit you'd think would be really good, but just they didn't design the game for her. She feels kind of like an afterthought to a degree, which is kind of sad because they spend so much time with her. Yeah, I think D tier is fine. I would put her above Lester because I hate Lester.
Gotcha.
I love and I hate Lester. I love that he saved a turn. I hate that I had to go through him.
The bias senses are tinkling, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. I actually like Altena more than Lester too. Don't tell anyone though. That's fair. While we're discussing units that are too slow in the game or aren't made for her, we should talk about Iucharba.
Iuchar. I like Johan better.
I like.
Such a better
yeah,
name.
I say Johan or Johan all the time. So if I call him that by accident, you'll know why. This is like, I think a lot of Gen 1 players or like a lot of new players to FE4 will be like, oh, I get another Lex, and then they get this guy and they're like, oh, it's like Lex but bad. It's like Lex with all the bad things about him, and the only good thing we get is like the hero axe, which apparently
it doesn't cost turns anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't cost turns anymore. He just gets it. I mean, if he doesn't kill that boss, he has to buy it, which is kind of insulting. But you know, there you go. I find that I found both the Axe Bros actually kind of nice. Casually playing 6 and 7 a little bit, but they deteriorate very fast in usage. I'm sure you could make them last a little bit longer with like a pursuit ring, but generally this is like no place or purpose. Obviously within this that's like exacerbated because you get so many units that are better at combat. You get like, we have like nearly invincible or units that kill like everything and they're still being dropped tiers. So, and then he also has bad unit feel, which is like a personal thing. Like he doesn't kill anything besides a mage. It's just, I really hate using Johan for anything, honestly. It's just the fact that he has a horse doesn't excuse all of his flaws. It's like they made Ford an Axe Knight and they put him in FE4. That's how I feel about Johan. I don't think he's very good for anything, but maybe there's something he can do. I don't know. Is there anything?
One of my favorite conversations I read on Serenus Forest back in the day was somebody saying that Johan can't get the Brave Axe because Leaf has it, and then I think it was Horus that responded with Leaf just has so many better weapons to use than the Brave Axe. But yeah, he is not good. He obviously doesn't one round most things because Gen 2's got that really high HP inflation. Vantage does nothing for him. He's got bad accuracy, if I remember correctly. I think he starts with a higher accuracy than his brother, but has like a terrible growth.
It's not
He's
great.
got a high speed growth, which doesn't matter.
Yeah, no pursuit is kind of cringe. Yeah, his accuracy is like, I think it's only really bad against enemies with some degree of speed or like a terrain or something. If it's like a thunder mage on no terrain, it's probably fine, right? But if it's like I don't know, a Myrmidon or if it's like someone on like a forest, it's gonna be bad, I think. Or like leadership stars, bosses especially.
Yeah, the one thing that I do remember that's noteworthy about him is he does start at level 15. So if you were to money dump him, get him the Paragon Ring for just the arena purposes, and get him through the arena in chapters 7 and 8, which is already kind of a tall order, but you can theoretically do it. And with the Paragon Ring on, he will be able to promote, and having that extra point of movement can be nice in chapter 8. Obviously, we still have Oife that can be there, so he's still redundant in this regard. But
Oife says he starts at level 12, by the way, so maybe that's after
he
arena.
starts at level 12?
Yeah.
Okay. I know you can get him to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been after arena. Either way, that's about all that I can really think of for him, is you can try to go for an early promotion to get him a bit of use in chapter 8, and then he's gonna fall off. He's a cavalier, so you're probably just gonna have him get villages for you.
Yeah. It's okay, utility.
Yeah, so... yeah, he's probably better than Leicester.
It's just a standard. We're comparing all units. It's like, do we put him above or below Leicester?
Yeah.
Okay, but is he a tier better than Leicester though?
He's not better than Altena, I'll say that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just sure. I'll just put him here. Dude.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I could tell, but I can't tell whether that was meant for Leicester or whether it meant for Johan. But I'm assuming both. Assuming both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I forgot her name again. She's very memorable, I swear. Muirne.
Oh, we're talking about Muirne. Okay.
Yeah.
Or Morn. It's Morn. It's Morna. That's right.
Morn. Okay. Morn. Good morning.
Morna.
Yes. Okay. So it's
it
like Lana but bad,
that's
right?
That's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Okay. So Morna's problem is that the staffs, they do not inherit until about chapter 9. I think Warp is chapter 9. I know Return is chapter 7, but she's not going to touch that. Physic is chapter 9, which is really awful because the Gen 1 Physic actually shows up in chapter 10, so you're using the Charlotte or Coirpre's Physic.
Thanks.
So she has heal until chapter 9, basically.
Not even mend or anything? Damn.
Well, okay, she can have mend.
Or
Julia,
she
gives Julia mend in a conversation.
Oh, damn. Yeah, right.
It's horrendous. So yeah, after that, so I guess you can't really say she's any better than Coirpre or Charlotte because they effectively start being useful at around the same point.
Oh, geez, you're right. And then Coirpre has like options too for inheritance. Oh no. I see where this is going.
Yeah, so it does depend on how much you're going to weight Warp utility, because, I mean, that's still a thing that she's going to have at the end of the game. Warp is always going to be useful. There's like a bunch of units that can do it, but because she's not good at anything else, it's, she's probably going to be the one that does it.
Mm-hmm. But it'd be like chapter 9-ish Warp, right?
Yeah, it's like chapter 9 is what it starts.
Because like best case scenario, you have like Claude pass down Warp to Sid, and then she buys it off of him.
Well, it's just in the chapter 9 vendor, I believe.
Yeah, that too. But it's
so
like
actually, you could get it in chapter 8 after he recruits Sid, and then you have to like return him back, have him sell it.
Yeah.
And then why did you even bother with this?
Just because I wanted to move her up a tier. Okay, leave me alone.
I know a lot of people like her because she's got conversations, I guess. But as a unit, she's terrible.
Yeah, I have Coirpre and Charlot in like F. I don't know if it's that bad.
I don't think they're that bad. Yeah.
But like
E isn't a bad place for them. D isn't also a bad place for them. It just depends on how much you're gonna rate it, really.
I'm gonna go with E right now because my D tier is full.
Yeah, I know your D tier is big. I think we might move some units around. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll happen, and when it happens, the spot free up, and I might move her up. We'll see.
Yeah, leave that D tier open for.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only so many Leicesters in this game. Okay, so we went through these, and we're going through them every time we want to move a unit in their region. So, Linde actually is I think she's the most exciting substitute, because she's not just kit, but worse, with like Paragon and Thoron and what's left in Wrath, although I guess it's also on Tinny, technically. I rated her over Tinny, so that's something. I don't know. I like her. I don't see much of a purpose for her. I do believe she gets staffs at promotion, right? As a female mage fighter. So yeah, so you can technically like warp or do some other staff utility. I don't think she's terrible for what she is, but obviously it's still a foot unit that is pretty fragile and can't just do combat on her own without a lot of support or sheltering or whatever. But just a fun unit to use at the very least, which is more than I can say for a lot of these units. So kind of funny, but I don't think there's really much of a reason to move her much higher than this, if any.
I think she can go up. So the big thing about Linda that I like is compared to like Tiny or Tinny or whatever her name is. So like sure you can have Paragon on her, but if you do that you don't have magic.
Lex.
So Linda's like the only combination where you have a unit that's going to promote really quickly, and you have a high magic stat. And because she has Paragon, that means she has a lot of money because you'd never have to spend money on the Paragon ring or anything like that. So she can just buy status stats, and just use them without a care in the world.
Yeah, they're really expensive, right? It's like 10k for a sleep use or something.
Oh, I think sleep is like 30k.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. 15K. Yeah, I think
so. It might, something like that. Silence is 10k. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're very expensive. But because she has so much money, she can just use them, and that's pretty nice to have access to. Obviously, you can just dump money on people, but it's just a way that you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so you just arena with Linde until she has enough money to buy status stabs, and you just start spamming them.
Yep, and she should promote by chapter 9, I believe. You can also have her be decent at combat. What you do is you get her killed in the arena, and then she comes out at 1 HP and she'll one-shot anything.
Oh yeah.
Make sure she doesn't get hit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have to like be intentional about it though, because she doesn't just die in the arena; she always wins, or like almost always wins.
Yeah, you have to like. It's really easy once she's promoted, because you just give her like a broken sword.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you do when she's unpromoted though? Because like fire doesn't even lose her matches, I think.
I don't think you really need to have her in wrath range before she promotes. So I never really worried about it.
I guess. I mean, you can always do the Bernadetta thing, right? Where you just have an enemy hurt her on purpose or something, and then she's down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So and she does do a lot of damage with that. Obviously, Arthur would be doing the same thing here. But yeah, I think like the Dozo Knight, she one shots them, which isn't like useful for like the enemy phase of tanking them. But you can't tank all of them. There's gonna be a bunch in your way, so. Yeah. She's gonna be part of that squad that cleans them out afterwards.
Yeah, you bring it up a lot because it's like one thing people can do almost regardless of what they're They can
everything else is being done by like 5 dudes. So I have to bring up the few instances where we're using everybody.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, the way you're phrasing it, it sounds like she's actually like universally more useful than Julia, for example.
Oh yes, because if Julia was available in chapter 10 and the final map, she'd be so much better. But because she misses those maps, and those are the maps when it starts to become really relevant to have status stabs, like the first castle of chapter 10, there's a lot of really nasty enemies, and they're in like forests and stuff, and they're kind of hard to get to. But if you have a status staff, which has like 10 range, you can just turn them off.
Yeah.
Those snipers in particular can screw you over. So.
Yeah, and also restore is also 10 range if you ever need access to that, but it's probably more of a slow-paced thing.
Yeah, it's more of a slow-paced thing, but I mean, your units could all just be screwed on res, so then she's relevant. When it comes to Teeny, obviously she can do a similar thing of you need to dump money on her for it, but that's the major cost, which just means you aren't dumping money on someone else.
Yeah.
The one thing that you could argue to put Teeny over her, and I've talked to Horace about this a while ago, is you give them Claude as a dad, because that does open up the rescue staff potential. And so in like a weird setting where you aren't using Leaf, like say a draft setting, right? This does save a few turns over using Lana.
Oh, because you... How do you even... So you pair Claude with Tiltu, but then you don't even pass down the rescue staff, right?
Yeah, you get it in chapter 10.
Okay, so like then you have a 6-move rescue staff user from chapter 10 onwards. Okay.
Yes. So like it's not like going to just win you the game like Leaf is, but things like the Ada Castle and whatnot, it can be useful for skipping those.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason you're not using Leaf because maybe he died, you're in an Iron Man, maybe you're in a draft setting, you need to pick him.
It's some part of the multiverse where we're not using Leaf. Okay, fair enough. So it's like a backup scenario. Okay, yeah. This is the D's for grasping at straws. Okay.
Yeah. That is the reason that I've seen Horace argue that he's better than or that she's better than Linda.
Yeah.
Whenever I like do the numerical, I always have them in B tier, and it feels wrong.
B?
So I don't feel like
Damn.
B.
Damn.
It's either C or B is where they go.
Yeah.
I notice your B tier is a bit empty, so maybe you could put them there. But
aesthetics matter. I'm looking at the units in C. I can see it being argued, which makes me kind of just want to put him in C, honestly. Like, not just B minus. Yeah, I'll just gonna put, do you think they're better than the Thieves and the Free Knights?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we'll just throw them there then. I think the Linde use case is a bit more universal. Then I know Tine is just a money drop away from being the same thing, though. All right. Well, I think I prefer this order personally.
Okay. It's your list. I'm leaving it up to you. I'll let you take more of the hate.
Okay. So that's the girl mage knight, and now we get to funny sword units, and there is literally 6 of these on the whole tier list, and they're all pretty similar. So suddenly it will look like we're almost done when we're done moving these.
Oh my god!
It's kind of hard to figure out exactly where to start with this, but I guess it's just like, so this is about Larcei, Ulster, Roddlevan, whatever his name is now. They gave him a new name, right?
It's Dalvin now.
Oh yeah, he's Dalvin, and then Radney is still the same, I think.
Cradney.
Cradney. Oh yeah, right. I never keep up with these, honestly. So
I had to look them up before this.
Thank you for doing that. Thanks for doing my job for me. So they're available in Chapter 6, but we've went over them a couple times that they don't really do anything in 6 because they can't keep up with Seliph, and they are not reliable enough at taking on the enemies because they die in like 2, maybe 3 hits if they have a really good parent or something, and then with like 40 hits ish hit rates, I want to say, it's not very good. And then these also don't get inheritance. These can get like good swords, so they can at least 1 round, but it doesn't save their durability. And then generally they can win the arena and level up by themselves is fine, but there's never really a point where a foot unit like this is going to contribute. Like we had Hawk and Lana and Shannon, they all have like something special about them that make them worth chugging along every once in a while for something important, but I can't really think of a thing like this. Like, I guess we're probably going to end up at Dozel Castle again to find a use for these, and that's all I can think of.
Not
really.
Even good there.
Oh no, not even there? What? How? Because like, I mean, you said Larcei doesn't 1 round, but again, there's probably a crit sort for her, right? Like, come on.
Yeah,
probably...
sure.
And she has Astra.
You can get them to be useful there, but they're going to be worse than somebody else, which is why it's so sad.
Yeah, cringe. It's like when Aira was worse at the bridge than Arden. Feels like that.
Yeah. So the big thing about all 4 of them, because they're all 4 kind of the same unit, is they're going to be around in Chapter 6 and 7, and then you're going to have them not really do anything for the rest of the game, unless you're wanting to have a little bit of fun. I know maybe you could argue there's like utility for whatever reason if you didn't pass down the leg ring and you need to kill Julius, right? Though a lot of units can kill Julius, so I wouldn't really give him that much credit for it.
You mean like Chapter 10?
Yeah, Chapter 10 Julius. He drops the leg ring.
I mean, or they... you know what's something they can do? Get killed by Chapter 10 Julius.
Yeah, of course. But what you do is you give them the thief ring, which you also have to go out of the way for. You can also do that to anybody, because there was that recent glitch discovered where you steal Wrath from Julius.
What the hell?
Yeah, if you have a thief ring on you fight Julius, you actually get the Wrath instead of him.
So you crit him instead of vice versa if you're low HP?
Yes.
Okay, alright. No questions here. No questions here. We steal the Wrath.
Spaghetti code. But yeah. So I want to say they're useless in Chapter 6. They're useless for the main clear, but if you want to get full recruitment, you kind of have to get them through. Basically, they're trying to just help the Larcei or Cradney get through, right? And for that reason, I usually rate the male one a bit higher than the female one. It really doesn't matter one way or the other, but I think they're mildly more useful. Because
they're helping the other one get to the Axe Brother?
Well, it's due to how they're positioned. You don't really have a lot of flexibility with the female one. Whereas the male one, you kind of can do a bit more with them. And they're going to be fighting a bit more because, you're just moving her in to talk, whereas you need to use the other one to actually kill the enemies in the way. So it's such a minor thing that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love to say, like, oh, but the Larcei's got adept, and it's like, but who cares?
It makes it looks flashier in the arena, but that's about all that I can think of. Like maybe The great thing about that overkill combat is you can't even do it in like the 1 or 2 places where overkill combat is really good. Like they're not very good against people you use force hitting against. They're not very good against Arvis, right? So what's the point?
It's overkill, but it's not overkill against Nihil users because you can't proc it then.
Yeah. Shucks. E tier for all of them, I guess.
Pretty much. One thing I will say though, because I think it's kind of interesting, Dalvin has the highest bulk that you could possibly get from a Scáthach child. His name's Scáthach, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. But Dalvin has like the highest bulk that you could possibly get from that pairing, which is interesting because it's not guaranteed that you get that bulk. Lex Dad is the one that reliably does it. So, and this is relevant because I believe Dalvin is left at 1 HP if he gets hit by both an axe and an archer. So,
damn.
So, I do actually kind of like that. I mentioned previously in like the Gen 1 video that it was kind of a mistake to pair Lex and Aira up.
Oh yeah, you said that.
The actual reason behind that is because one of the things I like doing with these 2 losers is I like using them to weaken enemies for like Leaf to kill or whatever. And if they have Astra, they're bad at that. Because then they just kill and you have to rig them to not proc Astra.
Yeah, good luck rigging in Chapter 6.
I don't know if you'd want to like rate them higher because of that, because I mean,
no, not
at
really.
the end of the day, like, you know, the other 2 are going to be better at combat.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all E. They're all about the same.
Yeah.
They all suck.
This is the most natural order for them, I feel like. I mean, you could probably think of a couple things that the other ones do better, but I think this works out. Yeah, this works out for me. Just this is funny. Okay, so that's 4 sword twins down the line, and now all we're left is you're something, Amid, Febail, Asaello, Charlot, the squad. You know, you guys can see the screen. Anyway, so other axe brother. What is his current name? Because
Iucharba.
Iucharba. Yeah, I think it. Damn, Johalva was a good localization. I like that too. I got him actually because he didn't die, and neither did Johan. So no, Johan. It's pretty easy to kill Johan. I find when you're going fast with Seliph because he just runs right in, and then Johan just runs into Seliph and dies. So you're left with recruiting this guy who doesn't run into Seliph. So I think I'm easy to recruit. I don't really count that, but I thought it was funny to note. But he's a foot unit with all the flaws that Johan has, so I don't really see him moving up anytime soon, and maybe even down, because he's just not very good. I know when he promotes, he can use bows in the arena. It's probably better than having D4 axes. And I think he can kill Julius.
Oh my god, he's not even like the best at it.
But he can't do it. He has a cost, so so that's like you're telling me there's a chance, but as a unit.
So he's terrible. He might be one of the worst characters in the game. Obviously, he's a foot unit with axes in a game where nobody cares about either of those. Bows on promotion doesn't do anything for him. Like, oh, now he can kill a wyvern, and so can everybody else. The only thing that I remember that was noteworthy about him in my run is he has enough bulk that if you're trying to bait up Hannibal, he does not get 2-hit KO'd by Hannibal, which is relevant because Hannibal has Adept. And that's it.
So you just equip a bow and let him do it?
Yeah, you equip a bow and just bait him up and heal him up as he comes up. Obviously I used him to kill Arvis. You need to have a 2-range unit fight, or not Arvis. I wish I used him to kill Arvis. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Julius. Obviously I used him to kill Julius. You need a 2-range unit. He runs like 50-something hit with a brave bow. Turns out Shannon runs he runs like 70-something hit, which is better than the 50 hit that guy runs. And then Shannon also has Adept if he misses. So it's not great. There's also Febail, who would have higher accuracy as well. So yeah, he's bad. I only used him because it was funny.
So F for funny?
Yeah, F for funny. He can maybe be top of F.
Yeah, sure. I'll grant it to him.
Yeah.
He's definitely funny. Okay. That's the X Bros down. We got a mid tier.
No, not mid.
Not really. I remember when I initially tiered him, I was like, what the hell do I even say about this guy? I really dislike substitutes that just have one skill that they would already get through promotion. It's just so weird. And then he's also in that weird class where because what's his face? Arthur gets a mountain promotion, but he becomes a mage fighter without staves. He just gets swords, which is trash. And then
I did find a use for it though.
Oh, you did. Well, there we go. And then other than that, it's just a mediocre foot combat units. I remember there was like something about him about fighting Arvis with Thoron or something. That's all I remember him being semi-useful for. But that's all I got.
Yeah, so I used him in my rank trying to kill Arvis because he was my best option, which is very sad.
What the hell? I thought you had Ares. What the hell?
Well, yeah, Ares, but Ares doesn't like one round KO because Kage hates us and gave him a 24 strength cap. But the most reliable way for fighting Arvis that I found without Forseti, and doing it in LTC pace, I should mention that because if you're not LTC pace, then Hawk is better, or said. But at an LTC pace was to use a mid. That's because he does 12 damage with the Thoron Tome and a bunch of rings and a bunch of silly things.
It's also a rigged run, right? Like rigged level ups.
Yeah, I didn't have to rig his level ups too hard. The reason I had to start rigging them in like the last chapter, I noticed I needed to start rigging his res. So he needs to be level 30 to actually be able to do it reliably. And he didn't get there. But yeah, so if he's under leveled, yeah, he needs high level ups. If he's properly leveled, he's got like a 90% HP growth, so he actually can survive Arvis. But yeah, so when Ares hits for 19 damage, Ares has 80 HP. So if you were to hit Arvis 3 times with Ares, that would put him at 23 HP. So doing 12 damage twice is enough to finish him off. So that is marginally more reliable than other units.
Not bad. You also get adepts to make up for
yeah, he's got adept, and you're going to give him the pursuit ring for this, just for more reliability.
Right.
So yeah, it is like, by the way, the reliability on this was like 5%. For like the optimal turn clear. I think, if I remember correctly, the 2 turn clear is 80% because you get so much more reliability by taking an extra turn.
Yeah, so it's like what's said in Hawk, right?
Yeah, but Hawk just goes up to like 85 to 90% if you take an extra turn, so he's just way better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like all he does. He is a little bit better than the sorties just because he can attack at 2 range, I guess. The reason I found swords useful was not because they're like great, I guess, but I needed him to survive up at Chalfie, so I gave him the Earth Sword. And that was good enough to keep him alive and then full heal. If you had like Linde technically could also do what he did. The problem is Linde has lower bulk, so she gets one shot usually. You could then use a staff, and then you wouldn't have to heal because then you could. Because you're always going to have to heal Ares because Ares is going to get his shit kicked in at Chalfie. So you'd have like Linde heal Ares, and then you can like have another unit come up to heal Linde up. But since I didn't have that option, I had to use the Earth Sword. That's why you like having staves as well. That's one thing I didn't mention. Another reason why I don't like Arthur at Chalfie. But yeah, he's bad. He's probably a bit better than the sorties, and I wouldn't say he goes any higher than that.
All right. So like here?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Works for me. Okay. Sorties have been discussed. Archers, I mean, we moved Leicester down like 3 tiers, so this is not looking good for these guys.
Yeah, they're F. Easy.
Yeah. F for Febail. I kind of knew it, but I was hoping I could deny it in some way. You said they can kill wyverns, but so can everyone else, like 5 times throughout this video. So I'm not gonna assume they don't get credit for that one. And then I think like the whole point of Febail, I think, would be to kill like tough to kill enemies, but then it has like no hit rate, so cringe.
Yeah, like I was checking just to make sure before the video if he is any relevant at all at Arvis, and he runs like 20 hit.
Yeah. And that's before Great Shield too. Was like, what the hell, bro?
Yeah, it's so bad. Admittedly, Arvis has 104 avoid because Kaga hates us, but
just don't understand Kaga's ways. That's all. Sad face.
Yeah, you could probably put them over Johalva if you wanted to, or under. They can't take Adept like Johalva can at Hannibal, so I mean.
Yeah, that's fair.
But they are going to be a little bit better at the final map. Whichever one you care to value more. Nobody really cares, I think.
What does Asaello get for his convo again? I know he like visits a village. He gets something. Strength?
Oh, I don't remember what he gets. It's
then it
nothing
doesn't
relevant.
matter. Then it doesn't matter. If you don't remember, then it doesn't matter. I just know it's there.
Yeah, the hitman of Canute. Right?
Yeah. And then Fefail's the missman of Canute against Arvis. Wow, got him.
The only thing I remember is technically, I did bring this up at one point, and Alec Febail is the best unit at fighting Julius.
Like chapter 10 Julius?
No, final chapter Julius.
Oh, right.
He's technically a bit better than Seliph at it. I wouldn't put much stock into it, but I mean, you got that. That's assuming, by the way, that he like caps all his stats, but I don't think he does.
No family of Alec could ever cap all their stats.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I'll keep it in mind for my next playthrough for sure.
Yeah, this rig.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's cringe. Yeah, that's them, I suppose. They kill wyverns. Yay. I mean, sometimes wyverns will attack them at 2 range, right? Cringe.
They join so late; it's really hard to get any use out of them.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because there was this really old tier list like Fireman Fusion, like the debate place where the S tier was like all the holy weapon users basically. So it was like Seliph, Ares, Altena, and Febail. Now they're like placed all like 5 tiers apart. I find that funny. Okay. So the priest boys, Charlot and what's his name now? Coirpre?
Coirpre, I believe.
Coirpre. Okay. So they also join really late, and I think the real thing with them, the investment you have to put into them is not really turns or anything, because they just like sit at a castle and spam insert staff here. The real investment with them is just real time. Like if you have nothing to do in real life, then they're some of the best units in the game, right? Because you just spam staffs until you win. But we kind of went over staff utility throughout, and I guess it's like okay, but it'd be much better if it was on a 6-move unit if there. Although maybe what you said, maybe they could be made relevant with 5, but 6 is definitely would have been nice, I guess. And then they can have like Claude as a dat, or without Claude as a dat, they have like B, I want to say, so they can do like warpy things, I guess. Oh, actually no, they have A, right? Because they have Sylvia as a mom.
Yeah.
Or he does. I know what he does.
Yeah.
But
he's
yeah.
B,
okay.
sure.
So staff utility is okay, I guess. E rank, maybe? I don't know.
I think they should be with Muirne. I don't think they're like should be any worse than that.
Oh yeah, they were like equivalent for the reason that you don't get any relevant staffs. That's fair.
Yeah. Coirpre's got the one thing over Charlotte that he can't inherit Force City, and you do have enough time if you wanted to dump the Elite Ring on him and then just spam a warp and get danced a bunch of Chapter 9 while you're waiting on Altena, that you could get him to like level 30 by that point, which I think is just hysterical that there's enough time for that. But
it's like a defend map in FE4, yeah.
But I mean, he's mildly better than Arthur at fighting Arvis, but it's not that much better. He does have stabs, which is kind of cool. I don't think the move is relevant in Chaffee particular.
Okay.
Because you have the rescue staff.
And then the other thing is Berserk, I guess. Berserk Charlot.
Yeah, so Coirpre does live in a world without Berserk, but I don't know if we really want to give credit to Charlotte for that.
Yeah, I guess if you could use it in the scenario where you want to use it, I would give him some credit for it. But does he have the magic to do? Because it'd be about berserking the Hell Mage, right?
Yeah, the Hell Mage has like a really high res score.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
I think they would hit it. I know he's got like a 50% growth and he starts at level 1, so that's like 29 levels. But yeah, usually you give it to somebody else because, I mean, just leave him in the castle for the warp. You don't need to spam him. Yeah, one thing that I will say about the Berserk staff, though, that is nice, is that he doesn't have any money problems because you can just sell it for like 30k. or 20k or 15k, I think is what it is. But yeah, so he gets all the money he needs to spam a warp staff, I guess. Yeah, they both kind of suck. They obviously should just be around where Muirne is. I can't see them being better than her because she does, even if it is just I heal.
Yeah, I healed Seliph once before he sped away like 90 miles per hour.
That's still going to be more relevant than I didn't exist at all.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, this seems fine. And then I think we're just left with a guy who literally does nothing but guard a castle when it doesn't matter. And then
I was so sad. I was trying to use Hannibal to a tank. I think it was like, is Arion his name? I can't remember. Trayvon's kid. Yeah. Trayvon's kid just like one rounds him. I was like, why are you this bad?
Just rig 2 Paviste procs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, he joins incredibly late. Doesn't have relevant combat. I guess he technically can use bows, so he is a candidate to fight Julius if he wanted to.
Because this is just about finishing him off after he's gotten to 1 HP, right? From 2 range?
Yeah. So like anybody that can do that, he's going to be the least accurate at it. But it's an option.
Yeah, he is adept, so I guess he gets.
So you're gonna use the break bow, so it doesn't matter.
Unfortunate Hannibal that it had come to this point. Yeah, I don't casual play. I use it to like block castles from getting assaulted by the 3-headed Draco Knight assault, but in this context, you just speed by that instantly to seize the castle. So. That's
yeah, relevant. Sure. You can have him set on a castle like Arden, I guess. You can also put anyone on a castle.
You can put what?
You can put like anyone on a castle.
Yeah.
The Wyvern Riders aren't scary in this game. They are terrible.
Yeah, true. I don't know why I ever had a unit die to them. I must have done something wrong. I don't remember what it was, but I don't know. He seems like a natural fit because he's just on everything. I think he's like. Just like Arden, he's fine in the arena. He can use like any weapon and has Pavise to just rig his way through. But that's just self-improvement. It doesn't really do anything for anyone else.
He's not even contributing to a ranked run because he gets 10 levels to his name because I think he joins at like level 20.
Yeah, he joins at level 20. That's hilarious. But hey, I guess
he's not going to reach level 30, so...
But damn, didn't even give him civilians? SMH. My head. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the list, I think. I think we got everything covered. Probably going to be 2 videos again because we've been talking about 2 hours. I blame the subs, personally.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? Anything you'd like to change from here, or does it look fine?
I mean, I got no major complaints. You fixed that B- tier, which was my big complaint.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot more units there, I think, before we started.
Yeah, I was like, I think every unit here needs to move.
Yeah. We need to make plays for Arthur and Shannon, guys. Move out of the way. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think some things are going to stand out to people, like this looks really weird with Airas being below these kind of units, but in the context of the run that we're discussing, it makes a lot of sense. For most players, though, like I said, it would make more sense to have an easier to use unit like Airas higher, but you know, there's plenty of lists like that, like my character guide and stuff, so I got no problems with this one. This was a good discussion.
I fully expect comments about Force City Arthur not being top tier.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I think we've justified ourselves well enough, and we still gave some space to Force City being good. So
yeah, I didn't put him in D tier like I would have with like a Zeldad.
Yeah, like some people will just respond with like, "Why is this character there?" I'm like, I didn't post a video just for you to take a screenshot and ask what was up with that. Like, there's explanations behind every one of these, and there's a very nice guy who keeps posting timestamps below. Thank you very much, Armor Slayer.
Oh yeah.
So you can just skip to those if you want them. I even make it easy for him by putting the pictures of the characters. So if you don't get any of these, just go to the timestamp and it will be explained for you in depth. And if you then have an argument, the comment section is right there.
Of course.
And I'll be arguing vehemently in there. Thank you, thank you again for joining, and we'll see you again some other time. Peace around. Goodbye.
I'll whatever you need. Later. You want me to bash on Selliph's personality? Sorry, my dude. I'm not a toddler anymore. I don't go around Selliph's personality. It's terrible. He might be one of the worst characters in the game. I hate Selliph's personality. Easy.